Michael, we've had a couple of weeks since the game against Celtic. What sort of reaction have you had from the players, and how have you reflected on it?
There's been a lot of reflection, a good time to communicate, some good training on the pitch, and I've seen a good response from the players. It's important we put that into tomorrow's game and performance now.
Have you had any discussions with the club hierarchy over the start to the season?
Yeah, naturally. I speak to James Bisgrove every day. I speak to John Bennett and other members of the board at least 2 or 3 times a week as normal. So nothing's changed in that respect. We've sat and discussed this first period up to the September international break, and like we do at all the international breaks, it's a chance for reflection for us.
And how do you reflect on it?
Well, it's disappointing the way the last 3 or 4 days went, for sure. Obviously, they were 2 big games and both results didn't go the way that we wanted, and that's the reality of it. There's been some good things, there's been some things we certainly need to improve on, and that's been the honest reflection.
In those discussions, Michael, with the club hierarchy, have you been given assurances about your position?
Listen, I don't need assurances. I'm part of a plan in terms of where we're going as a club. It's something that I'm fully aware and involved in. And ultimately, a football manager needs to win games of football, and the last 2 we didn't win, so we need to get back to winning, and we've got, 7 games in 22 days now, so there's a good opportunity for us to do that.
Do you feel your job's in peril at the moment?
Sorry?
Do you feel your job is in peril at the moment?
No, listen, I think that I'm disappointed with the results, just like everybody else, and I think that sometimes if we small margins can make a big difference in a game of football, and the last one, I think that was the case, but ultimately, you need to win games of football. Last season, we won a lot. We didn't come away with any silverware, so this year's about picking up silverware. It's very early into the season. There's been a lot of change around me in my time as manager here, probably from February, March, both within the club and also in the playing staff as well. And we've not started the season how we all wanted, but there's a lot of football to be played, and ultimately you just play the game that's in front of you.
The fans' reaction after the game is something we've never seen before. How do you reflect on that?
Well, they're sharing their frustration. It was heard loud and clear. I don't think there's much time for talking now. I think we need to make it up to them on the pitch in performances and results. I think that the fans are sharing their frustration and anxiety with the way the start of the season's gone. I think that's quite natural for any group of fans to show that.
So you talk about the changes that have been around the club this summer and at the start of the season. Do you feel that the fans should give you a bit more slack, or can you understand totally and you feel they're right to do what they do?
No, the fans have got to support each game that they watch, and there was a lot of excitement and expectation coming into the season, and so far it's not been fulfilled. It's very early in the season, that's what I feel, but it doesn't take away from the disappointing 4 or 5 days that we had going into the international break. And I think it was a reflection on the result on the day and some things that happened in the game. Was a highly emotional game, and it didn't go our way.
What's key to getting the fans back on side over these next games until that October international break? What needs to change, do you feel?
Well, I think the team need to win games of football. We've got some good opportunity in front of us right now, and the team needs to show a rhythm in the way that we're playing. And the new players obviously need to show that they're settled. They've had a long time now. We've probably had, I think, over 40 sessions on the pitch and 9 games and 4 or 5 pre-season games. The players arrived at different times, but there's no excuse about it being a new team. I think if you take the League Cup game aside, 7 or 8 players have played in every game. So there's been a little bit of change in the front line, but there's been a lot of new players in those areas. It's not as if we came into this season with the same front line we had last year. So each player's different, but what I would say that the new guys now have had enough time to settle. They felt the heat, if you like, in Glasgow in terms of the reaction from the fans. I think the fans made their feelings clear to the team at the end of the last game, and it's important we see a response now from me first, but obviously the players as well.
You talk about the rhythm and them settling in. Have you seen signs on the training ground over these 2 weeks that's more likely to show on the weekend?
Well, listen, over the 4 league games, we've had 21 more shots than anybody else. We've had the most passes in the final third with the most accuracy, so the opportunity has been there for us. have scored more goals. We're underscoring what is expected in terms of the chance creation, and if that changes, then things look a little bit more rosy. There's still work to be done behind the scenes with the team. There always will be, no matter where we get to with that, but at this moment in time, we're the team that has the least shots on our goal, and we have the best defensive record in the league as well. So there's some things that we can move forward from in terms of some foundation, but certainly if we're having that amount of more shots than everybody else and get into good areas of the pitch, at some point we'll need to take those chances.
Yes, do you feel it's up top is the final step? That's the one that could perhaps change things for you if you can just get clicking at the top.
I think it's everywhere. I think the team need to show a greater intensity everywhere, and that's the things that we've been working on. Tomorrow gives us an opportunity to make a step in the right direction. I'm certainly not angling towards just the front players. I think as a team we need to show more cohesion in our performances.
Michael, on the supporters, some if not many have turned. Are you confident that you can win them back?
Well, listen, I think the fans have shown a frustration towards myself, that's fair, but they've shown a frustration towards the players as well, so none of us are really in a lot of credit at the moment. The way you get that as a football manager and a football team is winning games of football. We've got 7 in 22 days, so on we go.
How have the players found the reaction from the fans, Michael? Have they been taken aback by what they've experienced in the first few weeks here?
I've not personally discussed that with them, to be honest. I think going in, the fans are really frustrated and disappointed. If they think the players ain't, then that would be foolish of them, because the players also, they live and breathe it every day, and there's been some really honest words been said in-house that remain between us as a group. But as I said, the talking needs to be done on the football pitch now.
Has any of it come as a surprise to you? You obviously know the club and been here a long time. Have you been taken aback a wee bit by some of the levels of it?
No, because I was fully aware of what I was getting myself involved in. I understand Glasgow and how it works.
Michael, just can I ask, when you say you don't need assurances, when you see a manager down south talking about the position and reports that the club may have approached a high-profile manager, is it not human nature to want to know exactly where you stand?
No, because my relationship with John Bennett and James Bisgrove is extremely close. I live that relationship every day, so I know where we're at. I know what the plan was coming into the season. I know where we're going as a football club. I was involved in every single decision. Every decision wasn't my decision. I'm involved in everything. We're very aligned, so I have no concerns about that. I can't affect the background noise. I just got to get on with my job day in, day out. And I see the guys, in James's case, probably every day. I see John and speak to him 2 or 3 times a week. So I'm really comfortable. Reporters and journalists are going to ask managers questions, and in their interviews, I can't help that.
I think there's a sense that with the departure of Ross, the idea that you've maybe taken on a lot in terms of recruitment and everything else that goes, do you think that maybe brings a little bit more accountability in a way?
That's fine. I'm happy to take the accountability. Not every decision is mine within the football club. It's a collective decision between the board, myself, and 1 or 2 others. And we have a plan. We had a plan this season to reduce the size of the squad and the age of it. We haven't started the season well. If we had started the season better, or if we'd have won the last game, it still wouldn't have been all rosy inside, if you like. There's a work in progress. I think there's been a lot of change in the club since probably February, March time, on the board, structurally in the club, and within the squad as well. A lot of players who was key to this club in previous years have moved on. New players have come in, and it's important that we give them time to show their quality over the season. I've got no doubts they'll show that.
Just finally for me, do you feel right now that you just can't afford a slip up?
I think right now the team need to show stronger performances for sure, yeah.
Michael, do you feel like you know what your best attacking options are right now, and is that something we'll see start Saturday, or will your best attacking options be rested ahead of the game on Thursday?
No, the strongest team will play the next game. I think there's been some things that have not been ideal at the start of the season for 1 or 2 players, but in terms of not being available, not being in a fantastic place. But Tom Lawrence is now fully fit. He comes in the squad. Kamaru's played the last 2 or 3. He would have 2 in 2 if the officials would have done their job correctly in the last game. So he's in a really good place at the moment. Unfortunately, Todd Cantwell will miss probably the next 3 or 4 games. as a result of the challenge at the end of the game. Kieran Dow's the same, but other than that, everyone else is fit and ready to go. So, yeah, on we go with these next few games.
Also, with the European squad announcement, did you have a discussion with the players who are first team players that didn't get into the squad, and what was the thinking behind guys like Red Van Yilmaz not making that squad?
The squad was actually submitted on the 4th of September, so I don't know why it took another 10 days for UEFA to allow it out, because we had to submit it on the Monday after our last game. So I had to discuss with the players at the time. John McLaughlin was a natural one. We've got the 2 homegrown goalkeepers. Leon Balogun was a choice. I have Ben Davis fit again now. Ben's not been fully fit to play up until this moment. You've got John Suter and you've got Connor Goldson, and I trust Leon King. It came down to, Dujon, Tav, and then there's young Adam Devine and Borna, and then there's Ridvan, who had played 20 minutes all season up until I made that decision. And with Ridvan to this part, he's a player that I like. I think he's got a bright future at the club. He ended last season ever so well, but he's not been able to knock out the games. And when it comes to picking that squad with the limitations you have, unfortunately he missed out. And at the time I was picking the squad, I thought Kieran would be out for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. That was the feedback I was getting, and Todd was going for a scan, and I didn't know the severity of Todd's situation. At the time we had to submit the squad, so I couldn't put them both in, so that's why Kieran missed out. So all the players have had it explained to them. I can't say they're all over the moon, but they all understood.
Todd Cantwell's problem?
Has a problem with his knee in the challenge that he has towards the end of the game. He played on. After that, we had to send him for a scan. We thought it would be worse than what it is. The initial diagnosis was 4 weeks, so we're probably 2 or 1.5 weeks into that now.
And Kieran Dow?
Yeah. Kieran Dow has had just a strange reaction with his knee. They've both, him and Todd, have had their legs in a brace the last week or so. Kieran's now out jogging, but we've got to see how that one goes and settles down. So I would say he's probably 3 or 4 weeks away as well.
Michael, just when you reflect on everything, how confident are you that you're the man that can turn it around?
I'm hugely confident that we come into this season, our domestic win percentage was really high. We come into this season, we've played 9 games in the first month of the season. Some of the players arrived the week before the season arrived, or like in Cifuentes and Danilo. You have to manage all of that, 9 new players coming in, so important players going out. Last season I probably relied on Tillman, Sakala, Morelos and Kent in 90% of the games as my front 3 or front 4. So those players have changed. I think we've brought really good players in. I think the time to judge them is not right now. I think naturally we'd all want the new players to come in, hit the ground really running. The reality is the team's taking a bit longer than I thought to settle. I thought the last game that we played, there was no reason to lose the game. I think there's a decision in the game that sends the game in a certain direction, and it's regrettable we lost the game. We could have performed better. I'll own it. The players have got to own it as well, and now we need to show our worth in the coming months.